Hello everyone and welcome to another review for TechPowerUp. This week I have been reviewing a game by ThingTrunk. This is titled Book of Demons, and this is probably quite a unique title compared to most of the dungeon crawlers out there at the moment. This sort of borrows a fair few things from different aspects like Diablo 3, Path of Exile and Grim Dawn and whatnot, and also kind of mushes it into a sort of 2.5D papercraft dungeon crawler, and it is not as casual as you might think. It's easily become one of my favourite games of 2018, not least because of its easily accessible nature and sort of approachable sort of general construction, but also because it's managed to cram in an extremely well fleshed out set of systems that you'd find in hack and slash dungeon crawlers by bigger studios. It's not as complex or sort of excessively deep in areas that you'd see in games like Path of Exile's skill point system or Grim Dawn's sort of ascendancy tree thing, but I would argue it is almost as challenging in quite a few ways. I think what surprised me the most about this game was just the sheer level of polish on something that appeared to be sort of so casual and simplistic. Like the level of sort of quality used in everything it sort of blew me away. The opening cutscene in particular, not least because it was sort of, it wasn't high octane madness, but it just been so well produced for a game that was advertised as this sort of little on rails papercraft dungeon adventure, and it caught me back and it surprised me quite a bit, and it continues to do so throughout the whole game. To start off, in terms of negativity, there's not really a whole lot for me to complain about whatsoever. To be frank, most people can just watch a gameplay trailer and say, you know what, no, that's not my kind of game. But for those of you that don't say that, honestly, I don't think I could very easily find a way of convince you otherwise. The game has essentially no video options, but it's a papercraft title. It uses next to no horsepower. If you go and check out our performance analysis in the full review, it uses about as much sort of graphical horsepower as Microsoft Excel, and makes up for it by not being FPS capped. So you can sort of go 1,000 FPS on your SLI system if you wanted to. My one main complaint about the game was that mouse lag was very, very obvious when VSync was turned on. Now, a lot of you will say, yeah, well, you'll get mouse lag when you turn VSync on, but this was particularly noticeable is the only thing I can say, but that was solved by me turning VSync off. I didn't really have a problem with stuttering because, you know, when you're running 400 frames a second, that's not really a problem. So it's hardly a deal breaker, but it's there for those of you that are VSync hardcore people, and it is really, really noticeable. My mouse felt like it was a brick. But that's it for the negatives. What it does offer, however, is total respect of your time, and this is like one of the key selling points of this game, is you can choose exactly how long your dungeon adventures last, ranging from a few hours to sort of an hour-long session. And sort of when you open up this main sort of dungeon map thing, you choose how long your little adventure is. So if you wake up and you've got like 10 minutes to kill before you go to work, you can boot this game up, quickly jump in a 7-minute adventure, do that, get your goal, get your things, and then hop off to work, which is exactly what I did for most of this week, alongside some of the longer sort of 40-50 minute adventure settings as well. And it was just such a well-regulated system. Like, it would generate these maps and different levels with different creatures based on how long you had, and it was damn near perfect. Like, I've never seen this created before in a game, and honestly, it was really, really, really good. Skills and equipment is all done with a card-based system. Don't worry, this isn't sort of one of those horrifying card-based systems you find in a battle royale or for some team arena shooter or whatever. It's just like a very simplistic card system. So all of your skills are cards, all your equipment is cards, all your potions and things are cards, and you just have like a line at the bottom, like an inventory bar, and you can have so many cards equipped at one time, and you can unlock more slots, and that means you can have sort of more active skills and equipment. It's just a nice streamlined way of doing things, and all cards are upgraded in the same way. Surprisingly, the upgrade system is not massively deep. I wouldn't say it's overly complex, but it is deep enough to offer you sort of a very, very clear upgrade system, sort of, and gives you a nice sort of focus for your overall progression, and gives you something good to work towards, and it doesn't make it too complicated at the same time. One thing I will say, and it's something I go on and on and on and on about in games in general, is the difficulty curve in this game is probably one of the most perfect difficulty curves I have ever seen. With the game starting off super easy, progressively getting more and more challenging, after the tutorial, to the point where I genuinely couldn't believe how well they'd managed to weave difficulty in such a simplistic title that was sort of like, it felt like it was like a 3D system but on rails. Boss battles are pretty hard, extremely varied, including the mini bosses. Like, they have tons of unit, what would you call them, unit models. That's the one. They have lots and lots of different unit models, and each of those models has just so many different skills and passives. And they managed to, the other thing that I found really surprising was they managed to implement invulnerable stages on bosses without it feeling like a cop-out. Like, you could genuinely respect why they'd added invulnerable stages. It's not like Warframe where they just went, yeah, to stop you from one-shotting the boss, we've made it invulnerable for 3 seconds and given you this mini-game to do. In this game, it is not like that at all. You can't one-shot bosses, for starters. You don't ever get that powerful, but it just struck just exactly the right balance, and it didn't feel cheap. Like I mentioned earlier, the overall presentation of the game, the audio, the voice acting, the writing, all of it is just utterly perfect. I would be delighted to see what these guys could achieve with a higher budget and see what they come out with, because these guys, they can certainly be trusted with developing something of exceptionally high quality. In fairness, it has been in early access for about 2 years, so by this point it should be pretty damn flush. But it's nice to see something come out of early access and not be a bitter disappointment or not quite what everybody expected. But yeah, overall, this is probably one of my favourite games of 2018. Obviously, it's visually, it is not everybody's cup of tea, but like, yeah, this was absolutely bang on, and I would highly recommend it to anyone. Anyway, that's it for this review today. Like I said, you can head on over to see the full review for the performance analysis and whatnot. We will be doing a review next week, which I believe is a turn-based strategy space game. I can't remember what it's called, Steel something or other. And then after that, I'm not entirely sure. Like I said last week, not many people push stuff out at Christmas. But yeah, we'll definitely see you guys next week, and hope you enjoyed today's video.